Now, the use of wind power has its critics. One concern is that the grid can't handle the volatile surges it generates. Well, it may not be quite as bad as was thought. A study for National Grid says the system will be able to cope with massive increases when the winds are strong and to switch to other sources when the weather is calmer. Our correspondent Jeremy Cook is at a wind farm in South Oxfordshire. Jeremy.
Louise, this is an important report because it sets out a vision for wind power across the United Kingdom for the next 2 decades and beyond. What it says, in essence, is that we need more wind farms like this one, which, by the way, was built by a cooperative of local people. The report says that by the year 2030, wind power should be at the centre of our national grid.
Wind power, already online in parts of the country, but with huge untapped potential. Researchers measured 2.5 million hourly weather reports and came up with a conclusion which few would find surprising. The UK is a windy place. So much so that the National Grid is being told that it should hugely increase our reliance on wind power.
We measure things in metres a second.
For Rod Blunden, that's good news. He spent decades in the fledgling wind power industry and is a director of this 5-turbine project which has been built by a local cooperative.
UK has the best wind resource in Europe. It's a sustainable resource, and I think we have an obligation for future generations to develop it.
Except on days like today. When wind speeds fall, the turbines stop, and if we are too reliant on wind power, that could be a big problem. The suggested answer is to keep conventional power stations on standby, to be fired up only when wind energy fails.
Ultimately, the electrical system is a balance of wind generation, nuclear generation and gas and coal generation. So when there isn't enough wind, there should be enough other sorts of generation to pick up, to take over from the wind. Any electrical system has a balance of different sorts of generation. You wouldn't want a system that was, for example, 100% wind, and equally you wouldn't want one that's 100% nuclear either.
If ministers accept the findings of today's report, there could be big implications for the way we produce and consume electricity. On windy days, the cost of power would be low, but when there's calm, it could be hugely expensive. But even if wind power is technically part of the answer, there are big practical difficulties, not least of which is getting planning consent to build wind farms in some of the country's most beautiful landscapes.
That planning issue is the centre of the controversy surrounding wind power, but people who believe that this is the future of our energy supply believe that as the need is identified, the opposition to wind farms will be reduced. Louise.
Jeremy, thank you.